Good morning. We are a few minutes late, but we are here. I've been dealing with a smoke alarm issue. I have a very sensitive smoke alarm, and a lot of times when I cook in the kitchen, I set it off. So I've been getting it shut up, and hopefully I disarmed it. So hopefully the fire department doesn't show up. But yeah, super sensitive smoke detector. That's why I don't sometimes cook certain things on the live, because I'm afraid I'm going to set off my smoke detector during a live. So I pre-cooked the chicken for today. But I'm going to walk you through the steps of it. So good morning. We are in the kitchen making balsamic pesto chicken pasta, which is on this week's meal plan, and it is on the meal plan for Friday. So if you don't have something planned for Friday, give it a try. This is just yummy, and you can actually make it all ahead of time too, and then just pop it in and bake it right before you're ready to eat. So I like to share with you the kind of steps, do ahead steps that kind of make dinner more doable, because I find that if I can have at least half a dinner prepped or ready to go in the morning or the night before, actually my chances of getting it on the table at dinner time are a lot better. So, because I know sometimes I have the best laid plans, I've got the ingredients, I've got the plan, I know what I'm going to make, and then that 5 o'clock hour hits and things go crazy and there's just no time to make dinner. So, we're going to start with the chicken, okay? So again, this is balsamic pesto chicken bake, and I'd love to know where you're joining me from. If you want to put that in the comments, and if you have any questions as we go, please ask. And those of you who don't receive my free meal plan yet, you can do that by heading to the blog yourhomebasedmom.com. Right there on the front page, you'll see the box to sign up. Totally free. You'll get it every Sunday in your inbox along with a grocery list. So like I said, today, this is Friday's recipe. I think it's Friday's. Yeah. Balsamic pesto chicken pasta. Okay. I love this. It's just got cheese and it's got chicken and pesto. And so I'm going to show you the first part is the chicken, and it uses chicken breasts. I'm only making half portion of the recipe today because it's just two of us and I don't want to eat this for like all week. So I'm cutting the recipe in half. So one of the make-ahead tricks I always like whenever I'm using pasta is to cook my pasta ahead of time. It's super easy to do. You can do it the night before, the morning of. I cook it till it's just al dente, which means it's still got a little bit of bite to it. You don't want it too mushy. And especially because we're going to bake this, you want to make sure that you cook it al dente so that it's not totally, because it's going to continue to cook a little bit as it bakes. So often I will then just pre-cook my pasta al dente, rinse it off under water, and then just put it in a Ziploc baggie and put it back in my refrigerator. And then it's ready to go when I'm ready to actually assemble the dinner. So that's your first make-ahead tip, is cook your pasta ahead of time. So I've got mine cooked and ready to go. And I use, for this one, I'm using penne pasta. You can use whatever shape pasta you like, if there's a favorite of your kids. But I like this because I like the little holes in the middle where goodness can get into. So that's the first thing. Now, the second tip is to prep your chicken. Now, couple options for this. I did use chicken breasts. If you have leftover chicken from something, use it. I would suggest doing is adding some pesto to it, okay? And I bought store-bought pesto. You can make your own if you want. Maybe in summer sometimes I do that when I have an excess of basil, but I bought this, was in the refrigerator section, kind of like where all their fresh pasta and stuff is. You can also get it in a jar. I buy it at Trader Joe's. And so kind of options. Okay, question about putting oil over the pasta before you refrigerate it. I don't. And then when I just make sure that I rinse off all the starch first, and then when I pull it back out, I just run it under some warm water, and it works fine. So I haven't found a need to put oil on it. So hope that answers your question. Thanks for asking. So pesto, you're going to need some chicken and some pesto. Now, whenever I am baking chicken breasts for something, especially because I'm going to slice these up, you know, chicken breast typically is much fat or much thicker on one side than it is on the other. And so in order for your chicken breast to help it cook more evenly and actually help it cook faster, I like to pound my chicken breasts so that they are an even thickness, okay? And so to do that, I just have my little mallet, my meat tenderizer on one end, and it's just flat on the other. And then I'll just put it on to a cutting board or whatever, and I sandwich my chicken between two pieces of wax paper, and then I just pound it. Get get out some of your frustrations until it's pretty even. And I would say it's probably like, I don't know, a ½ inch thick or so. See that? Okay, so I like to pound it nice and thin just because, again, it'll cook more evenly and it'll cook faster. Okay, so then with this, I'm gonna then put some pesto over both sides of it. And now at this point, you could prep this in the morning and then stick it back in the fridge. On the recipe, it says you know to let the pesto marinate on there for a couple hours. Truth be told, I have just put it on and then baked it or cooked it and not let it marinate on there when I didn't have the time, and you know it may not be quite as flavorful, but it works. And so I'll put the pesto on both sides, and then to cook this, you have a couple options. You can pan fry it, just on on your stovetop in a frying pan. You can pop it in the oven, I'd say like at 300 degrees, and bake it. You can even microwave it if you want. But you just want to cook it till it's cooked all the way through. Chicken is cooked when it hits 165 degrees. So I always just use my trusty little ThermoWorks meat thermometer to test the temperature. Because I don't like to cut into my meat to see if it's done, because then you release all those yummy juices that are in it. So especially with any type of red meat or with chicken, pork, whatever, check the internal temperature. Get yourself a good thermometer so that you don't have to cut into your meat to see if it's done. Okay, so that's how I prep the chicken. Again, this could be prepped ahead of time. It could be prepped the night before. You could cook it and then just slice it up and have it ready to go to throw into the pasta bake the morning of. So once you've got your chicken cooked, I'll need my knife. I am just going to slice this up, and like I said, the recipe calls for 4 chicken breasts. You can really, if you don't want as much chicken, you can get away with 2. If you want more, you can add in more. And I just like to slice it up, and then we'll kind of cut it into bite-sized pieces because it's going to get mixed in with the pasta. Those just joining, thank you. I'd love to know where you're joining from. If you want to leave me a comment, we are making the balsamic pesto chicken pasta. And then I would probably just cut these up again so that they're smaller pieces. Like I said, just like bite-sized pieces. So for my husband and I will use 2. Since I'm doing a half portion, I'm going to use 2 chicken breasts. And a lot of it depends on the size of your chicken breasts. I mean, some chicken breasts they're not all created equal. Some are a lot bigger than others. So you could get away with fewer if they're bigger. So anyway, all right. Got my chicken ready. It's cut up. All right. Lost a piece there. All right. So we've got our pasta cooked. We have our chicken cooked. And now we're just going to assemble it. And then it's going to pop into bake. So I want to know, what's everybody having for dinner tonight? What's on your menu tonight? Are you using the menu plan? Or what do you got planned? I always like to get some new ideas. What's everybody having for dinner? Okay. So in a bowl, I'm going to grab my pasta. And yeah, I ran water over it right before we got on. So it's good to go. Somebody's having tacos. Yay. Tacos are always good. So this is half a pound or half a box of pasta, okay? And so because I said I'm making a half batch. So I got my pasta in there, and I'm gonna use my recipe because the other day when yesterday's live, I realized after I made the tamale pie, I had forgotten to add in some of my seasoning. So still tasted good, but I get distracted on these lives and forget things. All right, so we're gonna mix together now our other ingredients, which kind of make the sauce for the pasta. And what we have here is we have got a 1/4 cup of olive oil. We're going to use a 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar. Except I'm making a half, so I'm just going to use half that amount. So if you're making the full recipe, you're going to use a 1/4 cup. I'm using an 1/8. All right. And then we are going to pop in, the recipe calls for 2 cups. I'm using 1 cup, which is basically 1 good sized tomato. And then, fresh basil. And I do recommend using fresh basil if you can. I like to buy my basil, like the actual plant, and I get these at Trader Joe's, but Trader Joe's also has basil in the not living? How do you say that? Anyway, but I do like to use fresh basil. And so I'm going to add in my fresh basil, and I want to show you how I cut the basil, okay, after we get this mixed together. So we've got our balsamic vinegar, our olive oil, our basil, and then we're going to add in some salt and pepper just to taste. Just going to sprinkle a little bit on. Could always, where's my pepper? Here's my pepper. Add a little bit more to people's personal taste once it's done, once it's baked. And then, a few pasta on the floor. We're going to add in our chicken. All right. Again, what's for dinner at everybody's house tonight? Let me hear. All right. So we've got all that mixed together, okay? Smells yummy too with that balsamic and with that basil. And then we'll come back. Don't let me forget to show you how I cut my basil. Again, I'm just using, if I were doing a full batch, I would be using a 9x13. But because I'm just doing a half a batch, I'm using, 8x8, 9x9, or this is just I don't even know what that measures, casserole dish I have. So, I'm just going to fill it up. All right. Get it all in there. I gotta left some of that basil in there. I don't want to leave any of that good basil in there. And then the last step is you're gonna add your cheese. And love my dish, thank you. I think that was like a Home Goods find. Someone's having enchiladas, yay, one of my personal favorites. This is about 2 cups of cheese. I'm only going, which is what a full size calls for, so I'm only gonna use about half of it. We're gonna add on the mozzarella cheese. You could even sprinkle this with a little Parmesan. You could switch up your cheese. You could use some cheddar in with it. I like mozzarella because it just is gooey and yummy. And there we go. I probably use a little bit more than a cup, but you can't ever have too much cheese. Okay, so there we go. It is ready to go in the oven. Heidi, you said it's making something with ground beef. You might want to check out the tamale pie we made yesterday on that live. It's saved in my IGTV, but that is a yummy dish to make with ground beef when you have hamburger on hand. But enchiladas are great too. So, balsamic pesto chicken pasta. It's ready to go in the oven. You could prep it to this point the night before, the morning of, and then just stick it in and bake it right before dinner. So it's a great dish to take to somebody when you're taking a dinner to somebody that they can then just pop in and bake themselves. You could freeze it and then have it on hand too. So this dish has a lot of possibilities, okay? So it's gonna go in the oven at 300 degrees, and it's basically just gonna bake for about 20 minutes because you just want the cheese to melt and it to get a little bubbly because everything in it is already cooked, okay? So it's just a matter of heating it through. And if you've refrigerated it and it's chilled, and it could take a little bit longer just because it's chilled. So anyway, this is what we're having for dinner tonight. So let me show you the basil. If you haven't worked with fresh basil, there's a term called chiffonade. I think it's a French word. And so basically I just pick off my leaves, about however many I think I'm gonna need. And then I layer my leaves. I just kind of nestle them one inside of the other, okay? So that's just like one leaf. And then I'm gonna take it, can you see me here? And I'm gonna roll it up. So I just kind of have one roll of basil. I'm gonna wipe this off here. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna go wipe it off just a second. All right, a nice sharp knife. And, oh, it came unrolled. Then I am just going to kind of slice, just skinny little slices. I don't know, is that a 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch? All the way across. You just want to use the back of your knife, not the tip of your knife. Use more the backs of your knife. Keep your fingers curled under so you don't end up losing a piece of your finger like I did not too long ago. All right, and there you go. You've got little pieces of fresh basil. It smells wonderful when you start cutting into it. And I'm actually going to add just a little bit more of that. Probably, you know what, I'll probably add this on after I bake the pasta just to give it a little color, make it look a little pretty. I'll add a little bit more fresh basil onto the top. You could also sprinkle it with a little fresh Parmesan cheese if you wanted. So anyway, any questions? Easy, quick dinner, especially if you prep ahead of time by, pre-cooking your pasta, cooking your chicken ahead of time. Again, if you've got some leftover chicken, even some rotisserie chicken that you want to use, just take it and cut it up and mix it in with some pesto and then put it in, and it would be great. You just want to get that pesto flavor in your chicken. So whether you're baking a chicken breast specifically to use for this or using some leftover chicken, just add that pesto in with it. So again, balsamic pesto chicken pasta. I'm hoping this live's gonna save. My live yesterday didn't save to my stories, but it will be in my IGTV. So if you want to share it with a friend or share it with someone. And again, if you're not signed up for the meal plan, head over to the blog, yourhomebasedmom.com, and you can sign up. It's totally free. You'll get the meal plan, plus you'll get the grocery, the shopping list every Sunday in your inbox. And I'd love it if you share with me. If you're making something off the meal plan, snap a picture, share it in your stories, tag me in it, and let me know the recipes that you are enjoying. So anyway, thanks for joining me today, and have a good dinner tonight.